What's up, Buff fans? I'm Patrick Dawson here from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Colorado Buffaloes just lost to the Brigham Young University Cougars by a score of 36-14. It was certainly one of the football games of all time. Joined here by Harrison Simeon. Harrison, just quickly, vague thoughts on the game.
I mean, there's just plenty of emotion. I think it was an emotional night all around, and the Buffs weren't quite ready for it. You saw that from the opening kickoff, and BYU came out, pretty much rolled over Colorado's defensive front. Obviously, they were missing a few pieces, and it showed because Preston Hodge's absence started to pick on Carter.
Green.
Yeah, Kai Hill Green as well. They picked on Carter Stoudemire in the secondary. BYU's offense really, came to play, and CU's offense did not do so.
It was atrocious.
In any capacity. 27 unanswered points to start the game for BYU, and plenty of Colorado's often loathed self-inflicted wounds really reared their ugly head, and it was quite a bummer for Colorado to end the season with so much joy and accomplishment, with the Heisman Trophy winner for the first time officially playing for Colorado in one final game, and it really not going his way. I mean, I guess he was the only player that
100 yards, touchdown,
had notable contributions. But for Shedeur Sanders, for the Sanders family, Shiloh, and that whole collective, it wasn't the way anyone envisioned it ending.
And I mean, CU's defense, they forced a 3-and-out on the first drive. They forced 3 turnovers during the game, so they made big plays at times. But it was, third downs in the third quarter. Once you got to that attrition point in the game, and they couldn't make a stop on 3rd and long. Couldn't make tackles. Don't want to single anybody out, but I'm sure you could think of a few names of guys that weren't making tackles in the open field. And then offensively, it was just completely just inept. 2 rushing yards the whole game. Shedeur took some terrible sacks.
I was about to get to that.
Atrocious sacks, like 20-yard sacks, and put the team in terrible. I mean, it was like we were like right here actually, where Shedeur took a 20-yard sack on 3rd down and might have missed a 47-yard field goal. It was a chance to put points on the board when they were only down, I think, 2 scores at that time.
And that was off a turnover.
Exactly.
All those turnovers you mentioned, they scored 0 points off of them. One of them resulted in a punt that was returned for a touchdown. It was kind of the moments where CU had a spark that they just couldn't capitalize off of. It really, in reflection of the whole season, I don't want to read too much into today. And I've thought about, what went wrong, what was it that, the Buffs just really weren't ready. But, in reflection, this was an amazing season with nine wins after, they hadn't won more than 4 since 2016. And, it felt like it shouldn't have ended like this. It really didn't, because, go ahead.
I mean, we were in the second to last week of the season, and the discourse was, is Colorado going to make the playoffs? Compared to not just last year, but the year before that, with the 1-win season, the way that the Durrell era kind of got kickstarted by Mel Tucker leaving unexpectedly, and even before that, the 5-win seasons under Steven Montez. Like, this program went from originally just being really just mediocre, and then being at the bottom of the barrel, and then all of a sudden they're up the top. They're at the top, basically. They're one of the most notorious teams in the country, not just on name value like last year, where it was just purely off name value and they were just really bad, but this year they were serious. They were one of the better. They finished 23rd in the AP rankings, and so they were in it to win the conference championship. They had a chance. They fumbled versus Kansas, but this was still an incredible season. And like you said, I don't think this game matters too much in the context of the whole year. It obviously sucks, but it shouldn't dim what this team accomplished and what this year did for the program in all these different ways.
It wasn't just the wins. It wasn't just they were squeaking out, every game was a Hail Mary to LeJontay Wester to tie it and go to overtime. They were thoroughly dominating some genuinely good teams like Texas Tech.
Even Colorado State turned out pretty good.
Right, Colorado State. The wins they had, in hindsight, were made for a very impressive resume, and it really speaks to how, going into this year, it was a lot of noise. It was a lot of
headlines,
confusion, and they needed to get on the field and win some football games after the way last season ended, after what we thought we had in the team didn't culminate into anything more than just a few weeks of hype and a few weeks of seeing The Rock at college game day. And once it kind of started to turn into those wins, we had a point where the Buffs were 1-1. They had barely beaten North Dakota State, and they got walloped by the biggest rival the program has had over the past 40 years or so. And it was aimless. It was still aimless. But they just went on a run. They simply just put it together. There were, contributions all around, mostly on the defensive end, with Robert Livingston's hiring turning out to be arguably the best move of the offseason, with how that unit really became way more cohesive, and players like Levante Bentley that were there, and Cameron Silman-Craig who were there, but not part of those, weren't able to lead a successful unit. We're able to do so, and with newcomers like Nakai Hill-Green, DJ McKinney, Preston Hodge, they really pieced together everything into something that became a really special team. And I think for all of us, it shows the direction of the program is still very much in the right.
I think with the way that the last season ended on 6 consecutive losses, the expectation for most people is just get a bowl game. And my preseason prediction, I don't even know if I have this on record anywhere, was 7-5. I thought they were good, but I didn't think they were this good. And like you said, they were going on that run, and people are going to Kansas talking about, they win this game, they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to go to the Big 12 championship and win that.
We had plans.
Yeah, we were planning to go to that game. We had crews set up to go to that game, and I would have never thought, even 5 weeks into this season, I was not thinking about Big 12 championship. I was thinking 7 wins, it's a good year, get to a bowl game, get Trav the Heisman, and that'll be it.
But even the last part you said, getting Travis the Heisman, that's something that the program hadn't seen in 30 years. It was kind of unthinkable. Yeah. And even up to the very end, there was, you were holding your breath. Yeah. In the Heisman ceremony, can Colorado actually, is this real? Is this legit? And it was. And it was one of the best moments as a fan of the team that, I've seen. Obviously not been a fan for that long a time, coming from out of state, but
I grew up, I spent a lot of time in my childhood in Colorado. My dad was from Arvada. He's a big Colorado fan. So for me, I was born at the tail end of the Joel Klatt era. I had only seen, I think, maybe 2 or 3 winning seasons in Colorado history. The year they went to the Pac-12 championship, 2020, which was the 6-game season.
Right, that doesn't exactly count.
And so
you don't know.
I had been going through the Steven Montez's and Cepho doing his darndest for the team, and seeing some really bad football. And for this to be, I'm in the Alamo Dome right now, covering this team. I went to Orlando and covered a game that mattered. I went to Lubbock and covered a game that mattered. It's this year had just literally just been a dream season.
Right, and even though they got the crap kicked out of them, it's bittersweet still. Yeah. There's still, a silver lining to everything, because they were here. Yeah. They were in this game. They had all the theatrics, and they had a chance, like you said, to be in the picture for the college football playoff with just a few weeks left. Yeah. And despite all the noise and all the intrigue over the past couple of years, they put together a season that they can really hang their hold their heads high over.
And that's all I got to talk about this season. If that's all you got, I just want to say a big thank you to all of our supporters out there. Big thank you to our crew, Christian Blanco behind the camera right now. Roberto Patrick Jarrett was also on the field. Final game of his time covering college football. And we're at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. We're going to go look for some churros and have a great night. So thank you all so much for supporting us this season. This was one of the most successful seasons of covering college football this club has ever had. This was my first season as executive producer of the club, and it couldn't have gone any better. So just thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. And on behalf of Scope Up Sports, I've been Patrick Dawson. This has been Harrison Simeon. Thank you so much, and you heard it here first.